In the last session, we talked about the previous algorithm, that is nothing but the algorithms which are based on distances, right? So we talked about k nearest neighbor classification algorithm. That's what we have said. That is nothing but KNN. So we talked about KNN algorithm, which is actually used for classification, and we have even seen the implementation of the same. That's what we have seen in the last session. Today we are going to talk about distance-based clustering, right? So distance-based clustering, it will be having k-means algorithm and hierarchical clustering. So basically today we are going to start with concept of clustering. We will talk about some of the algorithms which can be used for clustering. I mean to say. So we already talked about actually what is clustering, what is classification, what is regression, right? So just to revise that, let me tell you, as I talked about initially, I talked about regression problems, right? So regression or prediction we can say. So here, one of the best example for this one is for creating regression or prediction types of models. We have linear regression. As per your syllabus, we talked about one algorithm which can be used for creating the regression or prediction models is linear regression. That's what we have. After that, we talked about the models. We created a model which is a classification model. The last algorithm which we talked about, right? That is nothing but k nearest neighbor algorithm. So this is the example where which we can make use of in case of classification problem or creating classification models. And today we are going to talk about something called as cluster. Okay, so as and even I already talked about the difference between clustering and classification. So do not confuse. There is a difference between them. So for clustering, we have a different algorithms. For creating clustering types of models, we have one of the best algorithms which one can make use of is K-means. But it's not like that. There is only K-means in the market for clustering types of models. There is another algorithm, and that is called as DB-scan. I already talked about this one in previous sessions, but yeah, I just told you the names. Okay. So DB-scan actually stands for density based spatial clustering. So it is spatial, SPATIA. Okay. So density based spatial clustering applications with noise. This is the full form of DB-scan, which is another algorithm which can be used for solving clustering types of problems. Okay. So remember this. So in your syllabus, they have given K-means algorithm, but it's not like that. There is only K-means algorithm. There are other algorithms also. Similarly, even for classification, there is not only KNN. You can make use of logistic regression, right? Then there is something called as support vector machine. You already see support vector machine can be used for classification as well as regression. So yes, SVM can you can make use of. There is something called as XGBoost, which is one of the best algorithms for both classification as well as regression. And so it is not like that there are few algorithms only. There are different algorithms which you can make use of for all of them. But for clustering, most of the times you will see people make use of K-means and DB-scan. And in that also, this one is famous, K-means. And that's what is given in your syllabus. So we'll be talking about K-means algorithm in detail with implementation and with theory part. Okay. So as you can see in your syllabus, they have already mentioned clustering algorithm as distance-based clustering, right? So if you remember, we have already talked about different distance formulas, right? So in the previous algorithm, that is k nearest neighbor algorithm, if you remember, we already talked about this one, Euclidean distance, right? Euclidean distance. So if there are 2 points in the plane, right, P1 and P2, something like this, so we can find out the difference between P1 and P2 with the help of Euclidean distance formula, right? So it was under root of x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. That was the formula which we have seen. And other than this Euclidean distance, you have something called as Manhattan distance. You have something called as Hamming distance. But I already discussed that. I already told you that most of the times you will see Euclidean distance is being used to calculate the distance between the points in the plane. So as they have given the topic as a distance-based clustering, right? So K-means is one of the examples, which is actually a clustering algorithm and which makes use of distances like this, right? So for example, let's assume that it will make use of Euclidean distance, just to calculate the distances between the points. Okay, so let's start with the next topic, that is distance based clustering, and in that we'll be talking about K-means algorithm, right? So first of all, let's try to start our discussion with this particular term, and that is nothing but clustering. So by the way, what is clustering actually? So the simple meaning of clustering is grouping. As simple as that. Clustering simply means grouping. Now, for example, there are 60 students in the class, right? Now, what I can do is I can divide these 60 students into different clusters. Cluster. Whenever I say cluster, I mean to say group. So it may be group one, right? Group two. I want to divide them into four groups, for example, group three and group four. So maybe I can divide them as 15, 15, 15, 15, or maybe 20, 20, right? 10, 10, something like that. So this is one group, this is one group, this is another group, this is another group, right? So these 60 students, total 60 students are now divided into four groups. So these four are going to be clusters. This is the first cluster, so K0. This is second cluster, K1, third cluster, K2, and fourth cluster, K3. So K0, K1, K2, K3. These are the four clusters or groups we have for this one. So this is the example of clustering. Let me give you a very simple example. Just and again, see, talking about clustering again, there are different types of clustering. For example, first type of clustering is centralized clustering. Okay, this is one type of clustering, centralized clustering. Let's try to talk about this one with a simple example. Centralized clustering is there. Another example of a clustering is you can put it as a hierarchical clustering. This is another example of clustering. For both of them we will try to discuss, we will try to take example. So let's suppose for clustering, the best example I can give it here as the example of Amazon, right? And many people, you might have many times you visit Amazon website, right? We order some products on Amazon, Flipkart, and so on, right? For example, why I'm talking about the example as Amazon for clustering, let's suppose these are the total products, right? This particular circle represents total products on the Amazon. Now those products are divided into different categories, right? So those categories are going to be the clusters only. For example, there are some electronic devices, right? So this is one cluster, all the electronic devices. Maybe suppose there are books, right? This is another cluster. Maybe there are clothes, so this is another cluster, and so on. So that's why Amazon is the best example to understand clustering. In the background, it makes use of this one only, right? So all the products in the Amazon are divided into different clusters or different groups. So this is the example. This one is the example of centralized cluster. Okay. Now let's try to talk about the example of hierarchical clustering. So let's take this electronic devices. Now we know that this electronic devices can further be divided into different groups again, right? So maybe for example, electronic devices can be, so mobile phones. Mobile phones can come under electronic devices category, right? So maybe suppose television sets under electronic devices, right? Maybe suppose refrigerators. So that's also electronic devices. They also come under electronic devices, and so on, right? And in turn, all these clusters again, these are also clusters, and in turn, all these clusters can also be divided into different groups or clusters. For example, mobile phone. So mobile phone can be from iPhone. This is one cluster. It can be from Oppo, right? It can be from Nokia, and so on. So they are also going to be clusters, and in turn, maybe Samsung, right? And in turn, these also can be divided into different clusters, like this, like this, because we have different versions, right? According to the configurations, features, we have different mobile phones here. So, for example, maybe Samsung series one, and so on. So, this is the example of hierarchical clustering, right? So, remember, this is the example of centralized clustering, and this one is the example of hierarchical clustering. So, as simple as that. Clustering, the word clustering simply means grouping, right? Even though we will be talking about one of the best algorithms, one of the common or famous algorithms, that is nothing but K-means, right? So, K-means is actually used for clustering, and clustering means, just now we have seen, clustering simply means grouping. Now, talking about the algorithm, right? See, here I have given you the example of 60 students. Now, 60 students, I told you that okay, they are divided into four groups. But from where I got the value of 4, or this 4 value is represented by what in k means. So this 4 value is nothing but number of clusters. This k value represents number of clusters, and that will be given by user. But how? How user decides the value of k? That we will be discussing it later on. When we will go and we will start with the implementation of k-means algorithm, at that time I will talk about how to decide about the best value of k depending on the data. Right? But for now, just remember that clustering simply means grouping. Right? And see, till now whatever we talked about. For example, we talked about let me just change the color here. Suppose, see, we talked about supervised learning, right? So just try to understand. We talked about supervised learning. We talked about unsupervised learning. Now, what was the difference? What are the basic difference between these two? So, in case of supervised learning, always remember target column was always provided. Whenever I say target, I mean to say output column, right? Output column, dependent one, or dependent column. So you take any example in the previous cases, in the previous examples, right? In the previous discussions, you will find out that target column was already divided. It was already given to us. It was provided to us, right? But in case of unsupervised learning, and yeah, remember this K-means algorithm. K-means algorithm, it actually makes it of unsupervised learning approach, or clustering actually comes under unsupervised learning approach, and that's why as we talked about machine learning, when we started with machine learning topics, at that time I told you that in case of unsupervised learning, no such target column is provided. Right? Always that's the difference between supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Right? No target column provided. So that means we are not aware about the output in case of unsupervised learning. Right? Then if the target column is not provided, then how the learning actually happens? That's what we need to check. That's what we need to learn here. Remember, whatever the algorithms which we have seen till now, all those algorithms they come under supervised learning approach. But K-means algorithm or the clustering problems they come under unsupervised learning approach. And in case of supervised learning, target column is provided. In case of unsupervised learning, target column is not provided. Or in other words, I can say that in case of supervised learning, we are aware about the output in advance. But in case of unsupervised learning, that is not the case. Okay. Now, the question is now that then how the learning is going to happen in case of unsupervised learning approach, or maybe in case of K-means algorithm. That's what we are going to discuss. Right. For example, just take an example of 3 to 4 years old child. Let's take example of 3 to 4 years child. Now, what happens is, suppose if you give some marbles, if you give some marbles to that child, right? He or she has no idea of which one to use in a particular game. For example, which type of a marble to use in which type of a game, right? Now, the question is classify different marbles. Right. The question is to classify different marbles. Okay, so someone is asking, sir, is full clustering unsupervised learning or only hierarchical clustering? Full clustering is unsupervised learning. Are you getting? Whenever there is clustering, clustering problems can be solved with the help of unsupervised learning approach only. Okay, because that's how the nature is. In case of clustering, we are not aware about. See, here I told you that okay, we are going to divide the 60 students into 4 groups. But from here I got the idea. Even I did not know in how many groups I can divide the students. See, that's why I am trying to give the example. See, if there is a 3 to 4 years old child, and if you give some marbles to that particular child, that child is not aware about in how many groups those marbles can be divided. See, someone might so that means you need to classify different marbles, right? Suppose there are 100 marbles, right? Now you need to classify. So for classifying, you might be using different criteria, right? So someone might classify the marbles based on color. Someone might classify the marble based on the size, maybe based on the weight. Someone will classify the marbles into different groups or different clusters, or maybe based on the texture, right? So we do not know. Any criteria can be taken into consideration. So maybe if you go and if you try to cluster the marbles into different groups with the help of color, in that case you will get different output. or different groups. In this case, you will get different groups. In this case, different groups, and so on. Right. So all these parameters, color, size, weight, texture, and so on, using which a child can categorize all these are going to be the parameters using which a child can actually go and form the clusters. Right. He or she can be making use of color, size, weight, or texture. So that's why you will be getting different answers in this case. And that's why we are not aware, we are not sure whether it will be divided into four groups. So 100 marbles will be divided into four groups, or three groups, or two groups, or 100 groups, or maybe 10 groups, whatever it may be. Right. So while implementing, see, try to remember, I am talking about criteria, right? So criteria is color, criteria can be size, criteria can be weight, criteria can be texture, criteria can be anything. But while implementing, while working with the help of while working with the help of the K-means algorithm, here most of the times you will see that it makes use of distance as the criteria. And so, how to calculate a distance, that we have already seen. So, whenever I say distance, by default it will be the Euclidean distance. So, you can imagine that instead of color, size, weight, and texture, in implementation, it will be making use of distance, or to be more precise, I will say Euclidean distance used to create the groups. It is used to create the groups or the clusters, I can say, right? So remember few points. Let me just clear all these things and let me just revise. See, K-means algorithm or clustering. Clustering simply means grouping. That is the thing which we have talked about. It comes under unsupervised learning approach. Okay, and two types of clustering we have seen: centralized and hierarchical clustering, right? And Euclidean distance is the criteria to find out the distances between the data points. How, that we will be talking about when we will see the actual implementation. Right. Let me take a very simple example here. Just before going to the IPv identifier and discussing about points or maybe the implementation of clustering algorithm, let me go and let me try to talk about few points here. Let's suppose before showing you the actual implementation, let's try to take a simple example with numbers and then try to make the steps of K-means algorithm. Okay? So as we are talking about clustering algorithm, right? So as per your syllabus, we will go and I will start with K-means algorithm. So in short, if I want to talk about the steps of K-means algorithm, the first step is going to be, first of all, you need to take the mean value. See, this is theoretical. This is what, take the mean value. I am talking about theoretical concept of K-means algorithm. Take mean value, or I can say centroid here. Okay, that will be the first step. Second step is going to be, you need to find nearest number to that mean value. Okay, I'll be showing you the example also. Find nearest number to mean value, which we found out in step 1. Okay, once you find the nearest number to mean value, I can say, and put that particular number in cluster. Put it into cluster. What is the meaning of that? That I will talk about. Okay. And third step is going to be, you need to just go and repeat step 1 and 2. Repeat steps 1 and 2. Until what? Until we get same mean. Right? Until we get same mean or average value. Or centroid, I can say. Same mean. Now, what is the meaning of this one? Let's take a simple example here. Suppose we have some data set. Let's suppose my sample data set is S. Okay. And in S, see, do not confuse. Okay. Here I will be taking numbers. I will be talking about pure numbers. So now for finding out the distances, what I will be doing is, I will be just subtracting one number from another. That's it. I will not be applying the Euclidean distance. But in implementation, you need to apply some distance formula. Remember that. Okay. See, here I will be talking about some example, because it will make it easy for you people to understand the concept. That's why I am talking about this particular example. Suppose I have some data points. I have some data like 2, 3, 10, 11, maybe 10, 12, 20, 25, and suppose 30. Suppose these are the data points I have. Now let's apply K-means algorithm on this one. I will again repeat that I have taken the data in numbers, but in real time what's going to happen is your data is going to be something different. Okay, there will be actually making use of Euclidean distance kind of thing, distance formula. But here what I will be doing is I will be finding all the distance in such a way that I will be subtracting. Suppose I want to find the distance between 4 and 10, so it will be 10 minus 4, that is 6, or 4 minus 10, that is minus 6. But the distance is going to be 6. Remember that. Now see, the first step is, now I want to divide this data. I want to divide this data into clusters. Now, into how many clusters I want to divide this data? I don't know. Into how many clusters this data can be divided into? I do not know that. So initially what I will do is, initially I will take any random value of k. This k value I will decide randomly. Okay. How to find out that k value? That we will see later on. There is a method to find out the k value according to the data. That method is called as elbow method. That we will be talking about later on. Do not worry about that. See, for example, here I want to divide this data into two clusters. I will again repeat. Okay, we in advance we are not aware about how many clusters that data can be divided. But just to understand the concept, I am taking the value of k as 2 initially. How to find out the value of k? That we will talk about in detail in implementation. Let's suppose k equal to 2. Now, as I want to divide this particular data into two clusters, so obviously I need two mean values. See, take the mean value. So as two clusters I want, I need two mean values. Suppose the first mean value is m1 and the second mean value is m2. Let's suppose. And how to find out the mean value or the average value? You know that, right? Let's suppose the first value I will take again. See, initially we do not have any mean value. So that's why any number out of this I will take the mean value. Suppose I have taken first mean value as 4 and the second mean value as 12. Okay, randomly I have taken. I chosen the value of k and value of means m1 and m2 randomly. See, if the value of k would have been 3, I would have chosen 3 mean values. If it would have been 4, I would have chosen 4 mean values. Because I want to divide this data into 2, 3, 4, or 5, whatever the number of classes I want to divide it. See, what I am going to do is, now as I have mean value m1 and m2, I am going to find out the distances of all these points in S data set. I am going to find out the distances of all these points from S data set from m1 and m2. So I am going to create the clusters. So my cluster k1 I am going to create, and the cluster k2 I am going to create. Now, what to put inside k1? So the values which are nearer from 4 will be put in k1, and the values which are nearer to 12 will be put in k2. Let's see. Let's check this value 2. Is it nearer to 4 or 12? So 4 minus 2 is 2. 12 minus 2 is 10. So 2 is less than 10, right? That means this 2 is nearer to 4. That means this 2 is going to be inside k1. But in reality, are we going to do like this? No, absolutely not. We will be making use of Euclidean distance. So just try to understand. I'm just trying to tell you that the distance of this 2 is less from 4 as compared to 12. That's why I put this 2 into k1 cluster. Just to make the thing easy, we are taking this example. Okay. Let's suppose 3. Now 3, whether it is nearer to 4 or 12, 4 minus 3 is 1. 12 minus 3 is 9. Obviously, 3 is nearer to this 4. That means I will put 3 here. Obviously, 4 is nearer to 4 as compared to 12. So 4 is going to be here. Now let's come to 10. 10. Is it nearer to 4 or 12? So 4 minus 10 is 6. Right? Minus 6, whatever it is. 6 decimal. But 12 minus 10 is 2. That means 10 is nearer to 12 as compared to 4. So that's why I will put this 10 into cluster K2. And similarly, you go for 11, 12, 13, 11, 12, 20, 25, 30. You will see that they are going to come inside in this cluster, right? 10, 11, 12, 20, 25, and 30. So now we got two places. So in K1 cluster, we have 2, 3, 4. And in K2 cluster, we have 10, 11, 12, 20, 25, 30. But are we done? So first step is take the mean value. So yes, we taken the mean value and we found the clusters. And in second step, find the nearest neighbor to mean. That's what we were trying to do. These are our mean values. As we wanted to divide this data into two clusters, as we wanted to divide this S into two clusters, that's why we found out two means. And we found out the distance of nearest number from the mean value. And accordingly, we put those values in the cluster. That's what we have done. So second step is about. Third step is saying what? Now you need to repeat step 1 and 2 until we get the same mean. Now what I will do is, I am going to find out the mean for this cluster and I am going to find out the mean for this cluster. How to find out the mean for K1? So my next mean is going to be M1. How to find out the mean? Mean is nothing but the average. How to find out the average? So 2 plus 3 plus 4 divided by 3. So it will be what? 9 divided by 3, right? So my mean M1 is going to be 3. Just try to understand that, right? So we got two means initially, M1 and M2. Randomly. To answer your question, Sharon, randomly. Because initially we are not going to have any anything to get the means, right? So random. You could have taken any value as a mean. You could have taken 2 and 3 as a mean also, no problem. That's why I taken randomly. Try to understand. So M1 I got S3. Let's try to talk about M2. So M2, how I am going to find out? So just do this calculation. 10 plus 11 plus 12 plus 20 plus 25 plus 30, and let me know what is the answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what is the answer for this? So 10 plus 10 plus 10, 30, 50, 70, 100, 101, 103, 108. Okay, 108. So I think, yeah, 108 divided by 6. Yes, 30. So the mean here is 30. Okay, so M1 value is what? M1 value is 3 and M2 value is, no, not 13, right? It should be 18, 6 are 108, not 13, it should be 18, not 13. 18, 6 are 108. Sharon, just make it correct. It should not be 13, it should be 18. So because 18, 6 18s are, 6 18s are 108. Okay. Yeah. So my M1 is 3 and M2 is 18. Okay. Now what we need to do once we got the mean? So once we got the mean, find the nearest number to mean. Step 2 also we need to do it. So just find out the clusters K1 and K2. Okay, so just check this 2. Is it nearer to 3 or 18? Obviously it is nearer to 3. So write down. Similarly 3 is nearer to, similarly 3 is nearer to 3 or 18? Obviously 3. 4 is here. 10, now just check for 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. 10 minus 18 is minus 8 or 8 if you take the magnitude. So obviously 10 is going to come here. Now see, earlier 10 was in this group in K2. Now 10 is in K2. 11 minus 3 is 9. 11 minus 8 is distance is 7. So obviously 11 is going to come here. Similarly 12 is going to come here. Similarly 20 is going to come here. 25 is going to come here and 30 is going to come here. So that means our new clusters are like this. K1 is this and K2 is this. Now, are we done? No. We need to go and we need to check the mean once again. So find out the mean of this one. So it will be what? Just tell me. Find out the mean of M1 and M2. Find out the mean values M1 and M2. What is this? 14, 17, 19. Right? 19 divided by 4. So 19 divided by 4, what it is? 4 point something. Right? So what is this? 19 divided by 4. So 4 point something. So what I will do is, just to make the calculations easy, I will take it as 5. And what is the value of this one? Just let me know anyone. This will be what? 75, right? 75 plus 10, 85. 85 plus 10, 95. 95 plus this 3, 98. 98 divided by 5. So it is something 19 point something. So what I will do is I will take it as 20 just to make the calculations easy. So just imagine that 5 is the next mean and 20 is the other. And now find out K1 and K2. So obviously 2 is nearer to 5 as compared to 20. 3 is here, 4 is here. 10 is also here. Let's try to check about 11. 11 minus 5 is 6. 10, 20 minus 11 is 9. So 11 is going to come in this order. What about 12? 12 minus 5 is 7. And 20 minus 12 is 8. So 12 is also going to come here. What about 20? Obviously 20 is near to 20 only. So now see, my K1 and K2 are going to be like this. So in K2 I am going to get 20, 25 and 30. Are we done yet? Let's check that. Find out the mean. What is M1 here? So M1 will be 9, 19, 90, 30, 30, 40. So 42 divided by 6. So M1 is 7. What is M2 here? Obviously M2 is going to be 25, right? M2 is 25. Let's find out K1 and K2 once again. So till what point we need to find out? Until we get same mean. Until we get same mean. That's what we are going to check. So in this case, just check whether this 2 is nearer to 7 or 25. Obviously 2 is nearer to 7. 3 is nearer to 7. 4 is nearer to 7. 10 is nearer to 7. 11 is nearer to 7. And 12 is nearer to 7. Talking about 20, 20 is nearer to 25 as compared to 7. So this is the first cluster and second cluster is going to be same. 20, 25, 30. Right. So obviously if I go and if I try to find out the mean, see I got K1 and K2 exactly same which I got in the earlier step. That means obviously I am going to get the mean also as same. So M1 is going to be 7 and M2 is going to be 25. That means I got the same mean which I was getting in earlier step. This is the step where I should stop. That means the data which I was having in the initial step, that is this one. Right. So how many numbers were there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these 9 numbers are now divided into two clusters, K1 and K2. But how? So in the first cluster, see K1 and K2. In the first cluster, we got out of 9, we got 6 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And second cluster, we got 3 elements. So this is how K-means algorithm is going to work. I just tried to give you overall idea about K-means algorithm, but do not confuse. Right? See, the way I was trying to find out the distances between the points, it is not going to happen in reality. This was just for your understanding purpose. In reality, it is going to make use of Euclidean distance. Okay, even with the help of a diagram also, I will talking about the working of K-means algorithm. But yes, this is the basic idea behind K-means algorithm. Anyone any doubt, any question here? Any doubt you have? Anyone you want to ask any question? Are you people getting simple working of K-means algorithm? These are the steps. Take the mean value, find the nearest number to mean value, and put it in the cluster. Repeat the step 1 and 2. Yes, those people who are listening to me. Anyone any doubt? Okay. Does the final mean have any significance now? Final mean. See, it does not. See, final mean means what? We got two mean values, K1 and K2. So with the help of that particular mean value, we have actually found out the distances of all the points. So those mean values are nothing but centroids actually. That's what the significance they have. Significance is we are not going to make use of that. We are just going to make use of those mean values to find out the clusters. That's it. Nothing else. Right? Clear? Yes. Other people, any question? So that I will come to know that I will come to know that you people are listening to me. Yes, guys. Do you have any question? Those 59 people who are attending. Anyone any question? Okay. Okay. So this is the basic idea. Now what I will do is I will try to show you the same working of K-means algorithm. We will just go and try to identify it, and in that I will try to explain you how the K-means algorithm is going to work. Now K-means algorithm also have different flavors, right? So I mean to say, even though the name is K-means algorithm, but it makes use of different flavors like K-means plus plus, something called as K-means plus plus is there, right? So always remember, whenever I say K-means, I told you that this K value is going to be given by user. But let me tell you, if you want to decide the best value of K, what we can do is we can make use of some methods with the help of which you can pass different values for k, whatever the best value that algorithm is going to choose. So this value will be given by user. K stands for number of clusters, number of groups. Now there are some methods which are going to help us to decide that the optimum value of k or number of clusters. We will be talking about those things. Okay. So in this process, you will come across something called as elbow method. Elbow method is the method which is going to help us to decide the best value of k depending on the data. And with the help of Python, actually, the thing have been very easy now, which help us to decide the value of k. So you actually don't have to worry about deciding the value of k. So the methods are available in Python in such a way that they, depending on the data, they decide the optimum value of k. Okay. So I hope you got the basic idea here about k-means algorithm. Let me go to the Jupyter notebook and let me talk about algorithm itself. See, clustering. So whatever I talked about, that was the overview of k-means algorithm. See, suppose let's see this particular explanation. Let's suppose we give a child different objects to group. Now, how child is going to make a group? Same example, whatever I was talking about. So maybe child may be making use of color or maybe shape, hardness or softness of the object. So the basic idea here is that child tries to find out similarity and dissimilarity between the objects, and then tries to make a group of similar objects. This is called clustering. So that's why clustering simply means the method of identifying similar instances and keeping them together. That is nothing but clustering. In other words, clustering identifies homogeneous subgroups among the observations. So it's an unsupervised approach which finds structure or pattern in a collection of unlabeled data, right? Unlabeled data, where we are not aware about the output. So a cluster is collection of objects which are similar among themselves and are dissimilar to the objects belonging to different clusters. For example, this diagram is showing you the same thing. This is nothing but cluster, right? So this is your complete data set. So see, why only one color is used here? That means we are not aware about in how many groups this particular data set, this whole data is going to be divided. We are not aware about that. And these data points are shown from different places just for understanding purpose. Okay. So this was our complete data set. Now clustering is going to give us this kind of output. So this is first cluster, second cluster, third cluster, and fourth cluster. So this data is divided into 4 clusters. But that is the information about which we were not having any idea initially, right? In the above figure, we can easily identify 4 different clusters. The clustering criteria here is distance. So whichever the points are near to each other are kept in the same cluster, and far away points belong to the different clusters. So whenever you talk about distance, Euclidean distance you can say. Right. So now distance from what? So distance from centroid. Always remember distance from the centroid. Now how to find out the centroid? So centroid I mean to say the mean value which we have seen in the previous example, that mean value is going to correspond to centroid. That centroid can be anything. So initially suppose I have taken this as centroid for this data. Okay, this as another centroid. Maybe this as another centroid, or maybe this as another centroid. So what's going to happen is the distances of all the points from the complete data set will be found from this centroid. That means distance of this point, distance of this point, distance of this point, distance of this point, and so on. Same is the thing for this one also. Distance of all the points from the centroids will be found, and this is where the Euclidean distance is going to be. So distance of this point from all the points, distance of this point from all the points, distance of this point from all the points, and this one from all the points. And depending on, suppose all these points are nearer to this point, so that is going to be one cluster. Suppose all these points are nearer to this point, they belong to this cluster, and so on. So try to understand. And initially we are going to decide about the centroids randomly, in random fashion. The goal of clustering. So the goal of clustering is to determine the intrinsic groups in unlabeled data. As it's unlabeled data, that's why we are not sure about in how many groups that data is going to be divided. The question is, what constitutes a good cluster? It can be shown that there is no absolute best criteria for cluster validation. Consequently, it is the user who must supply criteria for validating the cluster. For example, we might be interested in finding representatives of homogeneous instances for finding the natural clusters and identifying their own properties like natural data types for finding appropriate groupings or finding the unusual, right? Unusual data objects. So outlier detection. So I mean to say, see, it's not in our hand. Sometimes you will feel that okay, it can be divided into 3 clusters. Sometimes you will feel that it can be divided into 4 clusters. It all depends on the data. But as I told you that while implementing, what we can do is we can make use of some of the methods. For example, something called as elbow method. Later on, we'll be discussing about it. Elbow method is one of the methods which can be useful to decide about the optimum value of k. I'm not saying the best value of k. So elbow method is going to give range. Okay, it can be 3 or 4 or 5. You decide any one of that, and that will be your value of k. Okay. So again, it all depends on your experience. Okay. Before talking about implementation, see the applications of clustering. The scikit-learn book describes various applications of clustering. So remember, when we will implement k-means clustering, we will be making use of scikit-learn package. First application of clustering is customer segmentation. So this can be useful in recommender systems to suggest content that other users in the same cluster enjoy. For example, you want to create application. That application is like suppose if you give some name. Suppose you want to create a recommender system for movies. You might be using Netflix, right? So in Netflix, if you go and if you try to search some movie name, the movies related to that movie, 10, 20 movies related to that movie will be searched, will be shown in your search. For example, suppose if you type the name of some action movie, so you'll be able to see the list of action movies only because that's genuine of that, right? If you try to type some comedy movie, so you'll be able to see other results similar to that one. So recommendation. So clustering can be useful there. You can cluster your customers based on their purchases, their activity on your website, and so on. This is useful to understand who your customers are and what they need. So you can adopt your products and marketing campaigns to each segment. And this can be useful in recommender system to suggest the content also, right? So customer segmentation. Data analysis. So when analyzing new data set, it is often useful to first discover clusters of similar instances, as it is often easier to analyze clusters separately. So for data analysis, one can make use of cluster. Dimensional reduction. Now, what is this dimensional reduction technique? So it's like suppose if we have 200, 500 features, 500 features we have. Instead of using 500 features, can I still work on the data set by using very less number of features, maybe 50 or 100. So there you can make use of a dimension reduction technique, or to reduce the dimensions, you can make use of clustering technique. So once dataset has been clustered, it is usually possible to measure each instance affinity with each cluster. Affinity is any measure of how well instance fits into cluster. So each instance feature vector X can then be replaced with vector of its cluster affinity. So I mean to say, as I given an example, right? Suppose there are 400 columns. You making use of 400 columns and then training the model, obviously it's going to take a lot of time. Instead of that, is it possible to train the model on the same data, approximately similar data, but with less number of features? There you can make use of cluster. That is nothing but dimensional reduction technique. The PCA, principal component analysis, is one of the examples which we make use of in dimension as a dimensionality reduction technique, but yes, k-means can also be used. Right? For anomaly detection. Now, what is anomaly? Anomaly is something unusual. For example, let's take example of some application which work with video data. Right? Suppose let's take example of webcam for surveillance. So, if something unusual is happening, unusual thing is happening. Like suppose in the webcam, some video is being recorded and in that video some person is hitting someone. So it's something unusual, right? So your application should be able to detect that, right? So it should be able to cluster anomalies from the video data or from the data. So anomaly is what? Simply the simple meaning of anomaly is nothing but unusual things. So yes, there also you can make use of clustering, right? So any instance that has a low affinity to all the clusters is likely to be anomaly. That is different than usual. That is the anomaly. For example, if you have clustered the users of your website based on their behavior, you can detect users with unusual behavior, such as unusual number of requests per second. Someone might be sending the request again and again. That's something unusual. So anomaly detection is particularly useful in detecting defects in manufacturing or fraud detection. So I also give you the example, right? Anomaly detection in videos, something unusual. So yes, there can be what clustering can do is clustering can filter out or group the anomalies. So depending on that, you can make the group of different anomalies or different unusual activities, and depending on that, you can go and you can use this particular output to find out, to detect the anomalies, to detect the frauds, maybe in manufacturing or even maybe in healthcare also. It can be used, right? Semi-supervised learning. So if you only have few labels, you could perform clustering and propagate the labels to all instances in the same cluster. Now, what is semi-supervised learning? Semi-supervised is like for some inputs you have output, but for some input you do not have any output, a target. In that case, also you can make use of cluster. So this can generally increase the amount of labels available for a subsequent supervised learning algorithm and does improve the performance. Search engines. For example, some search engines let you search for images that are similar to reference image, right? So to build such system, you first apply clustering algorithm to all the images in your database. So you might be knowing the best example is Google Photos. Even I have told you about the example at Google Photos. Now you in your mobile phone, whenever you click a photo, right? So if it's a if you have clicked a photo with your friends, so it will be put into friends group. If you have clicked a photo with your family, it will be put into uh, family group, right? That's nothing but clustering. Yeah, Gargi, just wait a minute. I will give you time. Okay. To segment an image. That is also another example of clustering. Okay, guys, people want to mark the attendance. Yeah, so I will stop here. Next, I will discuss in the next class. In the remaining topic, just send your numbers and names, and you can drop off.